Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs pregame show podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. I'm Luke Stuckmeyer, and to my left, your right, if you're watching on YouTube, Mr. Baseball, Jared Wyllys. He does all our baseball podcasts. He just goes from one to the other, back forth, Sox, Cubs. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
And, of course, Cody Cash Delmendo over there just ringing up the wins on PointsBet. We're ready for the Cubs and Diamondbacks to start at Wrigley Field. Cubs now looking for their 4th straight series win as they get to take on the Diamondbacks for the next 4 days. And it is the Stro show in Game 1. Finally, Strowman is back off the COVID list. He's pitching for the first time since May 1st. I don't know what to expect out of him tonight. I really don't. I don't know if he's going to be winded. I don't know if he's been able to keep up his conditioning. I don't know.
I'm expecting no runs in the first inning. That's what I'm
for
expecting.
Gambling purposes,
yes,
no runs
no
first
runs
inning.
in the first inning. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it might be – is it a question of how bad the symptoms were? How sick was he?
Right.
You know, like you said, has he been able to do some exercising, stay, not that you get that out of shape in a couple of weeks.
Right.
He's not like me. But, that's – I think we'll know pretty early on what depending on how he looks. But, yeah, it's a big question mark for this game.
I mean, like you said, we don't know if he was really, really sick since May 1st or if he was not showing really symptoms but just testing positive.
Yeah, it's just maybe it's a question of that's the protocol, and so he had to be put on that list, and, regardless of what the symptoms were like. And it's, without that information, you have to wait and see, I suppose, see how he looks as he gets out there tonight.
But this is his first game, Cody, since I said the beginning of the month, and his last start prior to the COVID was by far his best, 7 innings against the Brewers, and he was everything that you thought you were getting when you signed him, which is what you hope for tonight.
Yeah, 7 innings against Milwaukee? I mean, this Brewers lineup, as much as I like to put it down, it is better than in recent years. You have to admit that after the huge comeback they had against the Braves yesterday, right? But, yeah, I mean, the way that we know Marcus Stroman prepares for each start and how he's always been able to remain healthy as far as, actually getting hurt. Not that COVID isn't serious, but you get what I'm saying. It'll be interesting to see how far he can go tonight. I think from an optimistic standpoint, if he can give you 5 innings at 83 pitches, then you take that and run with it. So
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
5
so
innings
if he can, if he can get out of that first, second inning with a minimal pitch count, you take that. And he's a pitch to contact guy anyway. I don't feel like that's that hard. The key for him is to obviously keep the ball in the ballpark, and then, just to me, even though he's been out, in a way he is still trying to build off that last start in a way, because he's coming in this game, he's got a 5 ERA.
Right.
So, there's a lot for him to not only do as far as keeping the Cubs in the game here, but also to prove to people that, hey, I was worth that money, because a lot of people they're still out on him. The question is still out on him. So I know we can't expect too much tonight because, like you guys said, we don't know. We just don't know how he felt these last couple weeks, right? So, yeah, who knows? Maybe he was doing some sit-ups or something in this house. I don't know. I don't know. But that all said, I wouldn't want anyone else on the roster pitching tonight for the Cubs going up against a guy who has been quite literally a top 5 pitcher in the National League this year. So maybe Kyle Hendricks, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Marcus Stroman, maybe at least a 1A. Yeah, maybe Keegan Thompson. But for what the Cubs paid for Marcus Stroman, I wouldn't want anyone else on the mound tonight for the Cubs going up against, again, like I said, one of the best pitchers in the National League right now.
I haven't seen video or pictures of Wrigley Field. Usually when it's warm like this, it is wind blowing out or at least going left to right or right to left. So we'll see what that's like. That would be his first real taste of a different type of Wrigley Field. He's pitched there when it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
And I think any pitcher that's ever played there will tell, hitters too, will tell you it's a totally different thing. Like when Anthony Rizzo landed, he's like, First thing I looked at was Lake Michigan. I was like, wind's blowing out at Wrigley, So he's going to find out about it sooner or later, and hopefully it's not tonight. Nick is on. Jack, hey. Ravi's joined us. BK Sport. It's a road back to 500 BKR Sport because that's where they're trying to get. Mm-hmm. Really, what's turned it around has been pitching. The hitting, that's up and down, and it's probably going to be that way this season. But this is what we're going to see now with Strowman pitching. We got 4 days of Strowman, Hendricks, Steele, and Miley.
Can't complain about that.
If you can get those four, that's what they envisioned. You didn't know what you were getting with Steele, but the other three you think you did. And if you can get those four guys pitching the way they have at their peak so far this season, combine it with the bullpen the way they've been throwing, now you become an interesting factor in the division.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long road back because it didn't start well because of injuries and some other things. But if you can get those four guys pitching and then whoever else might be the fifth guy, I'm excited about this series because you get to see those four pitchers.
Yeah, and I think the X factor in that group might be Justin Steele. He's starting to show some signs of, it's pretty exciting now to see what this guy can do. Because you take that group of four pitchers in this series, I like their chances to get another series win, especially being at home. I know the weather's going to cool off a little bit Saturday and Sunday, but when it's warm like this, like it is tonight, like it's going to be tomorrow, that all lines up. I think that's in the Cubs' favor. It looks good because you're right. Offensively, you're going to get some ups and downs, but if you can get that pitching consistent like this, especially from young guys like Steele, you'll take that.
The Diamondbacks coming in losing 6 straight. They haven't won since they beat the Cubs last Friday. On one hand, it's like, okay, they're due. On the other hand, you're getting them kind of at the right time. They've had some issues with their offense for sure. Their pitching's been great. But their offense has been dead. Like the Cubs' offenses look better than their offense, and that's saying something. So, perhaps the Cubs are if they can continue to pitch like they have, they'll at least be in the game, and that's what we saw last weekend in Arizona. Even what we saw last night, even though they lost to the Pirates, they were in the game. They had a chance. Yan Gomes just missed a walk-off 2-run bomb last night. So.
And granted, it was against the Pirates, but the Cubs' offense has looked a lot better this last series. And so, if you can get those two things working together, pitching is good, bullpen looks good, and your offense starts to pick things up, then, and you're right, it's a long road back to thinking about being closer to the top of the division. But let's be honest, the NL Central isn't – these aren't powerhouses at the top of this division. So, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. But, the Cubs may not be as far out of things as it can look. Maybe
better than what we thought. Better than we thought, like going into last Monday.
Yeah, about 10 days ago. This is a lot better. Jack says, rotation is the 4th best ERA in the month of May. That's a cool stat. And Nick G is our resident Tom Skilling on the chat. He says, the Weather Channel app says it should go right to left around 14 miles an hour.
Okay.
So Skilling's not the only superstar in town.
That's right.
All right.
We've got Nick G on the pregame show. He goes against – we have Strowman, and the pitching's a good setup. And then you mentioned him earlier. Zach Gallen is a guy – they found a way to win a game that he pitched, but he still had 9 strikeouts in 6 innings and held them to just 2 hits. Yeah. It's an interesting lineup going out because is that the game that we called the Gomes game?
I was going to say I thought that was the Jan Gomes
That's
game.
officially the Jan. We can call it that, right?
You get the homer off
Sandberg game. There's the Kerry Wood game and
Cubs history.
The Bodie. We have the Bodie game.
The Bodie game.
You have the Jan Gomes game.
Jan Gomes game. He had a home
it's a little
run.
Further down the list. But.
That's right. Yes, it is. So he's in the lineup. Ortega leading off. So this is who David Ross is going to put against Gallen. Contreras at DH. Happen left. Suzuki in right. Gomes catching, batting 5th. Schwindel at first. Wisdom at 3rd. Morel at 2nd. And Simmons at shortstop. Now, that is interesting. I think the last 2 parts of that are interesting. Yeah. Simmons, number 1 for the defense, with a guy who's going to pitch to contact.
Right.
And you need that. And then Morel getting the start at 2nd.
I needed a break from Jonathan VR. I needed 9 innings without Jonathan VR. I think a lot of us did. And it's nothing against Jonathan VR. He's been a very good pro throughout his career, right? But he's just really struggling in all facets of the game right now. Like, he, for some reason, is not fast anymore.
He did steal a base. Was that last night?
It was in that Pirates series, yes.
Oh, it's when he just slid and kind of held his hand there.
But he's not. So he used to be like a 50 stolen base guy. That's gone. He struck out on 3 pitches from David Bednar last night, all velocity, like 97 up and away, like on the edge of the strike zone. Like, so he's not catching up to Velo right now. And his defense is shaky, and we even saw it at second base last night. Like, you can't put him at third or short, and when you're not playing defense well at second base either, it's just like, dude, like, where do you put the guy? And like, his offense isn't good enough right now to even think about putting him at DH. So yeah, like, I'm excited to see that Morel is at second tonight. I am a little like about Simmons, and is it weird for me to think that maybe I would have preferred Vargas just because like he's a switch hitter? So you got the lefty versus righty, and Gallen is been as dominant as he has. Like, again though, like with Strowman on the mound, you want the defense because again, pitch to contact. So I get why Simmons is there, and I'm not exactly mad about it, but like I wouldn't have mind if Vargas was in there tonight.
Right.
Alas, I just wish Nico Horner didn't run into an umpire. But anyway, like, it to me with Morel at second, it's a pleasant surprise and second straight start. So like Rossi giving him the shot to like just to play, man. Like a lot, like when he got the call, like they kind of played it off like it's just gonna be a short stint, blah blah blah. Second straight start, like if he he got a hit in the 9th inning yesterday, he worked a walk yesterday, like obviously the homer, like if he can keep finding ways to just help on offense, he's gonna stay. Like they're not gonna be able to send him back. So I like him getting the opportunities.
Yeah, and I think not that we want to spend too much time talking about a guy who's not in the lineup, but I do think not having VR out there is. It's the right move because he's definitely a guy who's lost a step. The bat speed isn't there, and I say this with no judgment at all. As someone who has also lost a step, not that I had one to begin with. I've lost more than a step. Yeah. But yeah, I think defensively, it's Simmons is the right move. I also like the fact that in this lineup you can use. We're talking about Yan Gomes, that you can give Contreras a break behind the plate and DH him, but keep his bat in the lineup because you have a backup catcher who can hit. I know this is a strange new thing for the Cubs after this parade of backup catchers that they had last year. But yeah, it's a nice thing to have some depth at that position because Contreras doesn't have to catch, but you keep his bat in the lineup.
Well, and I think that with Morel, we're talking about him, that is the balance that David Ross has this season. He's got to figure out how many at-bats do I give the young guys when they get their opportunity, how long of a leash do I give somebody like VR or Vargas or anybody else, and then Hoyer has the same scenario when the roster moves start coming. Mm-hmm. When guys are ready to come back, like you said, if Morel is playing well, does that mean one of the veteran guys either gets exposed or might have options? But options will play a huge part in who's up and who's down, and so will the way these guys take advantage or don't take advantage of their opportunities.
Yeah.
So far, Morel, I'm not saying he's going to be up here all season. I don't know if that's the case. But early on, he's taken advantage of his opportunity, and he's showing them something where if there's an option to keep him there, maybe they do. So that's another thing to watch tonight. What does he do in this scenario when he has now his 4th day of opportunities to show, okay, Horner's going to be coming back eventually. When he comes back, what happens to the roster? We've heard David Bodie say he's coming back like June 6th.
Yeah.
It's not very far off. Mm-hmm. So when David Bodie comes back, someone else is going to have to depart from the roster. We've seen them, how they handled Schwindel. Okay, so now you're talking about a different position. Is VR a guy that is susceptible to being an odd man out? I don't know the answer to that, but somebody on that roster could be if guys continue to take advantage of their opportunities.
Well, the other side of that is this can be the frustrating thing sometimes where for a guy like Morel who is really young, he's been called up for the first time, so he still has options, so It's kind of annoying thing sometimes where the guy who you feel like should stay, but simply because he has the roster options, he's the one that's going to get sent back to Iowa, and it's, and we all pull our hair out. But sometimes that's what drives the decision too, is it's not always based on how they're playing, how he's looking. It's just it comes down to something like that. But if VR continues to struggle the way that he has, he might be susceptible to, you let the guy go. And when you have young talent like Morel who's coming up and demonstrating it, then this is the guy who's the future of this team. It's not
Right.
VR. So you go.
we were talking about VR being a potential trade piece, but he's not. He's playing he's struggling so much that you can't even, no team's going to want to take on that or even move anything for that. And he just had, with what the Cubs have right now, he's not earning opportunity. He's been given an opportunity, especially at third, at short, at second, and he just really hasn't done much with it. He really hasn't done much since the Cubs left Colorado. Hit that home run the other day, which is great, and I thought that maybe this would be a stepping stone for him, but then, last night with the defense and, just the at-bats were not good, again, and I'm someone who's we got to see a larger sample size, but I feel like we've seen a pretty good sample size of Jonathan VR, and I do know that he's better than this, but at the same time, he's not on a team that is contending. He's not on a team that, doesn't have a choice other than to play him. So, if the Cubs care about the future and if they care about, exploring, there you go.
Exploring.
Luke.
Got it
They
in
care
the
about
show.
exploring, then to me, Jonathan VR is the odd man out unless, another injury happens or something like that. Not saying DFA him. I'm saying, pull the old fake IL stint or whatever. You know what I mean? I can say it. I'm the fan guy here. So we all know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, he's got a sore back. BKR Sports says the fact that Morel's 22 years old and we're talking about him potentially being a main contingent of our lineup is wild, and I love it. Listen, that's what you're looking for this season. That said, I'm not saying necessarily he's a main contingent in the lineup. I'm just saying let's wait and see. What Jared was pointing out is not only true, the options certainly is a huge part. Also, it's a 2-day sample size, and pitchers haven't adjusted to anything. They've never seen him before.
Yeah,
They know pretty much nothing about him. So, again, there will be more information about him tonight than there was 2 nights ago. So, eventually he's going to have to adjust, just like we saw Seiya Suzuki start to adjust to Major League Baseball. I don't think it's going to be all roses for Morel, but if he's playing like this, you might want to find out for a longer period of time than
speaking of Suzuki,
just a couple days.
Speaking of Suzuki, he's a 7-game hitting streak, and he, I thought that he had a lot of really good at-bats against the Pirates, and I don't know how good you got, especially Luke. I don't know how good his memory is these days, but if we remember,
For a guy who just turned 31,
Yeah.
ancient.
if we remember whenever the Pirates, or when the Cubs faced the Pirates last time, when the Pirates took 3-4, Suzuki, that was the beginning of Suzuki's, it wasn't the worst, but it was the beginning of the league starting to figure him out, and I just felt like it was one of the first times he was able to face a team that he had already seen before, and he had really good at-bats these last couple days on top of what he did in Arizona. So I am interested to see his at-bats this series now, because he already has gone up against pitchers in Arizona, especially Gowan. So I like that he's batting fourth tonight because he's been getting a lot of extra base hits lately. Obviously, we want to see some more homers, but the fact that he's just having better at-bats lately it's a very positive sign.
Well, and that's, when you talk about the league adjusting to him, you also want to watch how he adjusts to the league, or how he adjusts as they adjust to him. So, when he's facing a team for the second time, I think that's when you start to see how he's handling what they're doing. So, I'm with you. I'm excited to see this series for Suzuki and what he can do.
And to be fair, I forgot they played the Pirates this year. No, I'm kidding. Cody, I remember something. I don't remember that the downturn for Suzuki started against the Pirates. I will give you that.
Any chance I can just, jab at Luke
while
about
you
our
can.
age difference. I will
Remember, if Cody can do it, you can do it. So, I have no problems with the lineup. I look at it, and maybe there's some guys you'd move around a little bit. I like the idea of Wisdom at coming back to the lineup and yet still finding a way to get Morel in the lineup. So I think that kind of creativity and flexibility for David Ross and from David Ross is interesting to see. It's not a lineup, if you looked at that 1 through 9 and you were thinking you were a World Series team, it's not a lineup that strikes fear into a lot of teams, but that doesn't mean it's not a lineup that's good enough with Strowman on the mound to beat the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it might be the right mixture of guys to beat the Diamondbacks. That's what we're going to find out, and that's really the only thing that matters tonight. Like, they don't have to be a team that wins the World Series every night. They just got to be good enough on one night.
Yeah.
And so,
again,
we'll
the
see.
Diamondbacks offense has really been struggling of late, and their starting pitching has been better than what many expected. Merrill Kelly's been just as good as Gallen. How will they be able to keep that up throughout the year? I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, wouldn't be surprised considering what, especially from Gallen, he was great in the Yan Gomes game. The Cubs just scored a little bit more. So all you can ask for is, those timely hits. That was how they won that series in Arizona, was timely hitting. So,
hey, did you make any bets for this one?
yeah, man, I already said no run first inning.
But anything beyond that? Like, are you doubling down? Or are you parlaying?
No parlays tonight, but I like no run first inning. Gallen and Strowman, I think it's a lock. There's this algorithm Twitter account that I love to follow, and they love no run first inning for Cubs and Diamondbacks tonight. So we ride at sunset or in literally 15 minutes. So, but I place that bet on PointsBet, and the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlay. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And now, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Who you got? We always have to do that before the game. I don't have the season totals, but I believe I have 2, you have 2, Ryan has 1.
Sounds about right.
I think that's the season standings. If I would have had Contreras carry over on a day when we didn't have a show, then I think I would be up 3-2. But I don't want to cheat or anything. I'm just saying that's how it would be if it was going that way. So here's our who you got. Cody, we gave you your birthday. You got to pick first.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Keegan Thompson, so that's where I picked up my second win.
Yeah.
There was so much excitement in that game that we forgot to go over the who you got results. We only have
Eddie
the 3
and Hap.
faces. We got to get Jared sketch head here. What do they call it? Caricature. You're going with who tonight?
I am going with Marcus Stroman.
Show. All right.
I am drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking that he is going to come back and give us maybe a little bit more than what I said earlier with the 5 innings of 85 pitches. Maybe he can give us 6 at 95. I don't know. Depends on how good he is. If he gets a lot of ground ball outs, like we've kind of talked about, pitch to contact, keep the ball on the ground. Yeah, maybe he could do that. I don't know. We'll see.
So let's see. Ryan took Morel, who we talked a lot about here in the pregame show. I went with Gomes because, he had the Gomes game the last time he faced this guy, and he hit a home run off him. So
yeah.
I'm thinking he sees the ball well out of this guy's hand. And I thought when he hit the one last night at the end of the game, I thought it was hit harder than it. I think the guys on broadcasting on YouTube were a little surprised too. They got Wrigley'd a little bit, and so did I at home, where, he got all of that one, and it didn't even make it to the warning track. But I don't know the stats on it. I can't tell you how hard it was hit. I don't know the miles per hour, the velo, any of that stuff. I just know it seemed like it was hard hit. So I'm going to carry that over. I'm taking Gomes. Jared, who do you take?
Well, I'm looking at. I see Dave LaCroix in the comments. He's going Wisdom, which I think is an interesting choice. So,
well, if the wind's blowing out or left to right,
Wisdom can make the contact, man.
That's right. So, Dave, I'm with you. Let's have some fun with this. I'm gonna say Wisdom.
You're riding with Dave. Robbie is riding with Schwindy City.
City.
And Robbie also pointed out that VR was supposed to be the Valbuena that you trade at the end of the season, which I thought was a good comment earlier.
Guys, I'm surprised. We have 4 picks for who you got, and no one takes Contreras today.
I know.
He's 2 for 5 in his career. I put a bet on it. I'm living my bet life because I bet on over 1.5 total bases earlier with Cody on bets.
Okay.
Contreras is my guy. It's hot outside right now. Hot.
Yeah.
And I think his bat's going to heat up with it.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't going to take Gomes. I was going to take Contreras again. I just thought it was kind of a lame pick because he's been so hot, and I was like, I gotta mix it up for the show a little bit. So for variety, I was like, I'll take Gomes. Now you're making me regret that pick.
Here we go. Can't wait for postgame now.
So
if Contreras has a huge game.
Yeah, in reality, I'm taking both guys. Can I do that?
No,
I take
he
both
cannot
guys?
do
Off
that.
the record.
Off the record, I'm taking both
record.
guys. Steven, I'll switch that out halfway through the game if I have to. Robbie says Gomes hit the ball hard the other day. Yeah, he did.
There we go.
So yeah, I agree with that. That's why I'm
that's
going
right.
with
We're back
Gomes.
to Gomes.
Or Contreras, whichever
Back to
one
Gomes.
might play better tonight. I'm going with that pick.
Contreras.
Yeah, that's right.
Contreras.
That's good. Let's watch the game, see what happens. We're coming right back here, right?
Yeah, we'll be here all night.
You're sticking around, aren't
Heck
you?
yeah.
You're all in?
All in.
Jared's been here all day.
I mean,
That's right.
if we had a Sky podcast today, I don't know if we did, but you would have been on that too.
Why
You
not?
jumped in on everything. That's podcast. So thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs pregame show podcast presented by PointsBet. We will be here after the final out. Hopefully the Cubs fly the W, and hope to see you then.